Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be getting into postpartum healing, but what they don't tell you. Before I jump right into it, I want to go ahead and say thank you guys. We officially hit 1,000 subscribers. We are on the road to 1.1K. So if you're watching this video, do me a huge favor, go ahead and click that subscribe button so that you can be notified whenever I drop another video. You can be the first to see it. You can turn on that notification bell, share with a friend, a family member, rewatch it, you know. It helps your girl out. Anywho, I don't make this video too long. However, I do have a few notes so your girl doesn't get off track. If you're new to the channel, if you didn't know, my last video is my at-home water birth video. It was an amazing experience, and if you have not seen that yet, go ahead and click that. I will leave a link right here so you guys can see that, and then come back to this video. With this being baby number 4, this is not my first rodeo. However, I did take note on a few things that if I were a first-time mom, they don't tell you that this stuff goes on. They just tell you you're gonna have a baby, contractions, labor, that's it. They don't really give you too much of the postpartum and what to expect. So that's what this video is gonna be about. Gonna give you some postpartum healing things that you may not know. So if you're a new mama or if you're about to give birth, here are a few things just to kind of heads up, okay? Now keep in mind, we're talking about birth and postpartum. So yes, there's some blood involved. There's a few little personal things involved. So if you don't like that type of stuff, you may not want to watch this video. But if it doesn't bother you, keep on watching. I don't want to make this video too long, so I have my notes and let's jump right into it. First things first. First thing after you give birth, peeing is very hard. Poop, that's a whole nother story. So as soon as you give birth, their main goal is to make sure that everything is functioning correctly, nothing's messed up in the process of you pushing, because pushing is not an easy task. You're pushing as though you're giving a poop. So they want to make sure that after you give birth, and if you have an epidural, you most likely had a catheter as well. So they want to make sure that everything is functioning correctly the way it should be. Peeing is harder than you think. You think, oh, I'm gonna sit down and pee. It took me a good 45 minutes after I gave birth to have my first pee. And the doctors and nurses will not leave you alone until you have that first pee. So it's harder than you think. And it stings. Like, it's just really weird. The first few times you use the restroom, it's gonna feel weird. Now, pooping, if you gave birth in a hospital, they're gonna wanna make sure that you're pooping correctly before you get discharged. However, I gave birth at home. So my nurses just probably checked on me, I think, 3 days after I gave birth. They asked me, have you had a bowel movement? How are your bowel movements happening? Are you having unnecessary pain? Is there blood? No, I had none of those issues. So peeing and pooping is going to be very hard. On to the next. Trapped gas. I have an issue with trapped gas. This may not be the case for everyone, but for me, with each kid, my trapped gas got worse and worse. So I think with the worst, it was my third, but this time around, it wasn't horrible. However, walking around helps that. So if you can, try to walk, try to move, but also Gas X little pills. They're tiny. They will be your best friend. So go ahead and get some of those. Number three is your appetite will go crazy. That first week or two, you're eating still because your body's healing and your body is producing milk for your baby. So your appetite is going to be on 1,000. You think you have the baby and it's over? No. Thank God for my neighbors who dropped off meals and cooked for us. And my husband just kind of kept the meals coming throughout the day. Hey babe, food.
Hey babe, food.
So throughout the day, I was eating at least maybe 5 meals. I was very hungry. You need to lay down. Judah, lay down. Number 4, you just gave birth, so naturally you expect for your vagina to be sore. However, my muscles and my joints were really, really hurting. And it's like, you don't know how many muscles and things you use in the process of giving birth. So just keep that in mind. Ibuprofens will help, kind of stretching if you can. Just be prepared for not just your vagina to be sore, your back, your legs, your arms, depending on how you gave birth. I was on my hands and kind of holding on to my husband when I gave birth, so my arms were slightly sore as well. My main problem that hurt me is this time around, my pubic bone and my pelvic muscles, like that whole area was hurting more than usual than with my others, if that makes sense. It was really weird. So that was new for me. So even though this may not be your first baby, or even if you've given birth multiple times, each time will be different. I've had different postpartum experiences with each child, so these things may vary. Some of these things may not happen to you. These are things that happened to me that I feel I was not fully prepared for, okay? Number 5, night sweats. I had no clue that you sweat like crazy when I first gave birth. So if you're a new mama, the night sweats after you give birth are crucial. It didn't matter if we had a fan on. It didn't matter if I had on like just a t-shirt or shorts. I tried different things to stop the sweating. I tried just sleeping in a bra and underwear, which I found to be probably the most productive on keeping me cool and not sweating so much. But like if I had on just a plain t-shirt, I would wake up in the middle of the night drenched. Pants, shorts, everything drenched. So it's really uncomfortable. It probably doesn't dwindle out until 3 weeks maybe, but just keep that in mind. Maybe try to have a little fan beside you to keep you cool throughout the night. I'm not sure, but just be prepared for that. Number 6, postpartum shedding. Thank God this time around your girl has locks, so I haven't experienced too much. But with my son, I do remember having horrible postpartum shedding. And for most women, it's worse like around this area. So most women's hairlines start to recede, or they realize that their edges are falling out. And that is, if you're not new here on my channel, this time last year when I gave birth to my son, I shared with you guys my hair oil, which that video is doing amazing. So if you haven't seen that, I'll link that right here. Or I think it's like 19,000 views. I'm not sure. But at that point, that's when I decided to make my own that time I decided to make my own hair oil because of the postpartum shedding. It was so bad that I was completely bald. It was horrible. But stay tuned because I am perfecting my hair oil. So if there's anybody out there, mamas or men, who are experiencing shedding or thin hair loss, I am making a hair oil. I'm perfecting the recipe to what I want. And I will be making that available for purchase very, very soon. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But that's not what the video is about. Let's get back to it. Breakouts. Due to your hormones just raging at this point, you will experience some breakouts. I woke up some days with horrible, huge pimples, and I don't really have breakouts like that. So that kind of just made me feel really blah. You're bleeding, you're bloated, you're sweating, you feel dusty, you look crusty, and then your face is breaking out. It's not cute, but be prepared, okay? So go ahead and get your skincare routine perfected while you can. Number 7, breastfeeding causes cramps. Some people will kind of give you a heads up if they talk to you about it, if you plan on breastfeeding. If you don't, you may not have to worry about this. But for those who are planning on breastfeeding, be prepared. Whenever you breastfeed, it causes uterine contractions, which is a good thing. So don't panic if this happens. It's normal, but it's painful. So just those first week, as your uterus is shrinking back down to normal size, those cramps while you breastfeed will be very uncomfortable, like you're in labor all over again. So just Be prepared, okay? Cluster feeding. Some newborns go through this phase. It's not guaranteed for every newborn, but more than likely it happens. And I had no clue that was a thing until I had my son. My girls didn't do that, but my son, he did. Janelle, she doesn't really do it too much. She hasn't really done it, but I noticed it with my son. Cluster feeding is basically when your newborn is just kind of going through a growth spurt and they eat very frequently. With my son, when he cluster fed, he was eating every hour in the middle of the night. And it's very hard. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So push through it. That's all I can say is push through it. It's gonna be a rough night for you, but they get out of it. Persevere. You got this. Okay, this next one is not cute at all, but warning. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. The next one is hygiene, also known as your body odor. You make a body odor whenever you go through postpartum, but this is for a good reason. It's for the baby. The baby's vision is not good when they first are born, so they find the milk, their food source, by your body odor. So your body creates a smell so that your baby can find the food. So your armpits, they might be a little funkier than usual. Your deodorant may not be holding as well. That's normal. It's for the baby. It does dwindle out, but in the first month or first 3 weeks, sis, you're gonna stink. This next one came as a shock the first time I gave birth. Your nipples, they can bleed and create scabs, okay? But this is due sometimes to poor latch. So please, please, please work on that latch, because if your baby gets your nipple wrong, you're done. You're done. Nipple cream will be your best friend. Breast pads and also using your own milk will help. So all of that 3-piece combo, and your nipples will be great. But they can bleed, they can crack. They crack due to them being dry. So moisturization for that boob is a necessity, okay? Okay. Last but not least, we have blood and discharge changes. So for your first 6 weeks, they say is typically the normal healing time. However, this can vary depending on if you got stitches or not. My healing time has been different for each kid. The first one, I got stitches really bad, so the healing time was a lot more. With my second, I was good in 4 weeks. With my son, I was good in 4 weeks. With my daughter, yeah, the full 6 weeks. Even though I didn't tear, I didn't rip or anything, but it's just, it happens. The first 4 weeks or so is heavy blood. Nothing, if you're going past a pad in an hour and you're soaking through a pad, that's a problem. Go to the ER immediately. However, bleeding is normal. It's like a heavy period that lasts for about 4 weeks, and then it starts to dwindle off into like a brown blood. Then it goes into like a pinkish, light blood. And then it turns to like a yellowy type of color. And then you realize your blood is starting to turn into discharge, which is normal. Uncomfortable, but it's normal. Your body's healing. It's cleaning itself. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So it goes through the colors of the rainbow. It'll turn into like a clear, like your normal discharge should be. So all of that is normal. If it's yellow, it shouldn't be green. But if it's yellow, brown, all that stuff is normal. That's why it's important to go to your 6-week checkups, because that is when they'll give you like a pap smear type thing. They'll check you out, check out your insides, and make sure that everything is okay. There's no infections, no tears, things like that. But that wraps up everything that I feel you guys should know that people may not always tell you about dealing with postpartum healing. I will give you guys a few tips. I definitely say walk if you can. Even as soon as you give birth, 5 minutes, a few minutes, just walk. Walking around will kind of help those aches and pains. It'll help kind of get your body back moving so that the healing process isn't so hard. It'll help your uterus shrink more. It'll get rid of that trapped gas. It'll kind of boost your mood too, just kind of getting out and moving, because you're honestly going to be trapped in the house for a minute. So even if you walk around your sidewalk, walk around to the playground, just kind of walk a little bit just to get fresh air, clear your mind, because you will go through crazy emotions in that first week. Well, that first month, honestly. You're a new mom. You're trying to deal with like learning this new human that you're responsible for. Your body is going through stuff. So get a breath of fresh air whenever you can is my huge recommendation. Hydrate. This, and I have a gallon one. Keep it by your bedside, especially with those night sweats. You're gonna be thirsty, girl. Drink some water. Keep it by you. Keep it full. You know what? Let me drink a little bit now that I mention it, because it's a little parched.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, I needed that. And of course, with anything that you do, get some rest. Rest whenever you can. Baby sleep, you sleep. It's easier said than done, I will admit that, especially having multiple children. It makes that hard. So if you can get some type of support team like your mom, your sister, aunt, your husband, boyfriend, best friend, if somebody can sit in with your kids even for an hour just for you to get a wink, do that. It's so important for your healing, for yourself. Try it. If you have any concerns during your whole postpartum healing, do not hesitate to contact your doctor, your midwife, whoever helped you give birth. Contact them. There's nothing that you want to miss, especially postpartum, because things are so fragile. You can still possibly hemorrhage. If something doesn't feel right, don't hesitate. Just call. I'd rather you call and it be nothing wrong than you hesitate and think nothing is wrong and then something really is wrong. So you don't want to play around with that for you or for your baby. So if you're concerned with anything dealing with your baby, same thing. Call the doc, pediatrician, whoever, and they'll help you out. But that's all I got for you guys for today. If you have any questions, if you guys have any other things to add to this list, drop them in the comments below. If there's something you think I missed, some must-haves that people don't tell you about, drop them down below. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. Peace out.